Take a look at this and this. Do you notice a difference? What about this and this? Is there a difference? Well, this is partly what we will learn from week 5 topic called data and information. So what is data? Data are raw facts and figures that have not been processed. They can come in different forms, such as text, of which consists of numbers, alphabets, symbols, images, videos, audio, etc. Just like we learned in the last topic, digital or electronic data is entered into the computer using input devices. Now, what is information? Information means data that has been processed, analyzed, and interpreted into a more meaningful form. In short, information is processed data. To begin to explain the relationship between data and information, let us revisit how we started this lesson. Remember when I asked you the difference between this and this? Well, the first one is a series of alphabetic data, while the second one is a series of words formed from them. You can say that the alphabetic data has been processed into more meaningful form by combining them together to form a series of words. These words have become information. Similarly, if you look at the second one, you will see that the first one are two sets of numeric data which have undergone an arithmetic process called addition to give their total value, which is a useful information. In the computer, data is processed into information by the Central Processing Unit, CPU. This is a fundamental way to explain data and information, and we will look at a more advanced way in the next subtopic called sources of data / information. Now, sources of data simply means where data is gotten from. There are two major sources of data called primary source and secondary source. Now, for primary source of data, primary source of data is data that has been collected from its origin. Some characteristics of primary source of data is that it is first-hand, raw or unprocessed, and specific to the event that brought it about. Examples of primary source of data include data collected by observation, by survey, by experiment, etc. An illustrative example can be data of the age and gender of JSS1 students who wrote them on the marker board as you see on the screen. Now, moving to secondary source of data or information. This is a type of data stroke information collected, processed, and interpreted by a source who got it from the origin. Examples of secondary source of data include newspapers, bibliographies, news reports, library materials, etc. Characteristics of secondary data include it is the organized, processed, interpreted, and analyzed form of primary data. Using the illustrative example given for primary data, secondary data can be created out of it as the teacher who told the students of JSS 1 to write their age and gender processes and interprets it to the following table. You can see the table shows the total number of students, the average age, total number of boys and girls, the mode of the age, and other useful information. This is a higher level of explaining the relationship between data and information. And a good thing is that we will be doing a practical on how to interpret and calculate data like this using Microsoft Excel. Now, on a final note, we are about to look at qualities of good information. Are you ready? You will agree with me that there are a lot of false information out there. And it is very important that we make sure we get and we are also giving good and reliable information. This is why this topic is so important. Now, the qualities of a good information include 1. Accurate. Accurate simply means correct. And for your information to be a qualitative one, it must be correct. You have to make sure that you have done your due diligence to do research to ensure that the information you are giving is correct. The second one is adequate. Adequate simply means complete. The information you get or you give should be complete so that the user of the information will not need an extra source to understand or use the information. The next quality is easy to understand. The information should be presented in a simple form so that the user can easily understand. Do your best to avoid ambiguous words or complex statements, because the essence of giving information is understanding. The fourth one is relevant. This means that the information you give must be related to or be in line with what the user is looking for. You can imagine if your friend asks you to give details of the match that took place between Real Madrid and Dortmund yesterday, and you begin to give him details of an NBA or basketball match that took place 1 week ago. It doesn't add up, because the basketball match information is not relevant to the information he or she is asking you. So you must make sure the information you give is relevant. The fifth one is verifiable. This means that the information you give or get must be able to be traced to its source if there is need to check whether it is correct. This is why you get to see many textbooks put references or bibliographies at the end of their textbooks as a way to let the readers check their sources of information. This is very, very important, and even sources online can be verified. Number 6, up to date. This means that the information you give or get should be current. Make sure it is current. So, for example, somebody can give an information of the president of Nigeria to be Muhammadu Buhari, but based on the current update of Nigeria's president, you will see that that is wrong, because the current president of Nigeria is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it is very important that you give and you get current information about the particular matter. This is also important when you are carrying out research on the internet. As much as you get the historical data, also try to look for the data that really applies to the current year, to be sure that the information you give from the research is up to date. The final one we'll be looking at is accessible. Accessible simply means that your information should be easily located by the user. Compare a library shelf with labels and a library shelf without labels. You would agree with me that the one with labels would be more preferred, because it helps you to easily locate the particular information you are looking for. This is what making your information accessible simply means. It should be easily located by the user. Even certain websites makes their information accessible by giving the appropriate tag or the appropriate menu for the resource users are looking for. In another sense, accessibility also means making your information able to be engaged by people with disabilities. This is why you see several websites like YouTube applying certain accessible features, like having captions in their videos for those that cannot hear. So it is important you factor in those with disabilities, like those that cannot hear, speak, etc., when creating or passing your information. So that is it for this week's topic, week 5, and we quickly want to look at the evaluative questions. Number 1, define the following: A, data; B, information. Number 2, state the difference between primary and secondary source of data. Give 2 examples of each of them. Number 3, looking at the following information, What quality of a good information does this statement lack, and why? So the assignment you will be doing from this lesson goes thus. Looking at the following set of alphabets, form as many words as you can from them without repeating an alphabet twice. So thank you so much for seeing this week's topic to the end. And to practicalize what we have learned apart from the assignment, we will be doing a practical work in Microsoft Excel software where we will calculate, interpret, and analyze a set of data similar to the example we use to illustrate primary source of data and secondary source of data. So make sure you watch that video and follow through with the practicals. Thank you.